What is up, guys? Um, Crazy times. I've got one question about what's going on already that someone put in earlier. Um, so I'll wait to see if he jumps in. But go ahead and you can just type sort of an outline of your question just in the chat, and I'll just answer it kind of in the order that it comes in. And while people are joining, or while you guys are typing in your questions, I will do another rant about what's going on because it's so fucking retarded. I just need my coffee. Today's episode is sponsored by Califia Keto Coffee, with, what was it, 7 grams of plant-based protein and some MCTs. Absolutely fantastic stuff. It's not really intermittent fasting if you use it. It's too many calories. Usually I have the one that's got nothing in it.
Make sure you're near the toilet.
Hmm?
Make sure you're near the toilet.
Because from this,
the MCT, yeah.
Oh yeah, that after you do that for a while, it doesn't affect you. It's just that's new people. That shows how much of a fucking newbie you are, bro.
Yeah, okay.
You even fucking lift, bro.
Fair.
So yeah, so I was just at the, so I've been I'm just gonna type your question in. I'll do it in a sec. I'm just gonna mute you just because there's a bit of an echo until I bring you on. I've been going every day to the gym at the beach over on the Santa Monica beach over there here in LA, and they have like pull-up bars and stuff like that. And because my regular gym obviously closed like about a week ago, and as far as, where do we begin? As far as I'm concerned, I know for sure that if there is a virus that's very pathogenic and makes people real sick, then the best way that I'm going to protect my own health is by doing the things that I know for me are healthy. So I'm taking a lot of vitamin D. I'm getting a lot of vitamin D by being outside. I'm doing exercise, and I'm having stuff like this, very, very light, very little food during the day, exercising, and then having basically one main meal at the end of the day as early as possible, and having about at least a 12 to 20 hour fasting window. And I know, like, I don't need a public health official who probably was, has that job for a bit before going on to the FDA and like then lobbying for Monsanto, or like, you know what I mean? I don't need a public health official to tell me whether or not if that's healthy or not, or if that's safe, because I know way more about what is actually healthy than they likely do. They know more about the policy or whatever. I don't give a shit. And there's a point to this that isn't just about what's going on. That isn't just about whatever. Okay. So we're like, people are saying, oh, we recommend whatever. Cool. All right. Fantastic. I'm happy for your recommendations. I'm doing what I can in the circumstances currently, with my gym closed, to go do the exercise that I want to do in a place that is public property. It's out on the beach. There's no there's no like railings or anything like that. Anybody can walk onto it at any time. And for the past week or so, they had a cop car like drive by and do like a little announcement where they were just like, "Oh, this beach is closed" or whatever, because the governor said like the beaches should be closed or whatever. So they just did an announcement, "Oh, this is closed," and they kind of drive around and then kind of drive off. So just letting people know, but they weren't enforcing it in any way. And I was I was sort of speaking to people around, and I was like, well, yeah, that's because in this country we have rights. Like in England, in the UK, in Italy or whatever, in most of these countries that come from like there was a monarchy at some point, that had a lot of power, and some of that power is devolved maybe, but that's how it was. The entire system, the entire way of thinking, the entire culture of that country for thousands of years has been: there is a monarch, they are sovereign, they have all the rights, and they delegate some of those rights and some of those things to other people, to government officials, and stuff like that. And then if you ask them nicely, then maybe for that period of time that they're reigning, they'll like, oh yeah, you can do that if you want. But the entire basis of thinking in the system, the peasantry, the common people, the average person, was like, would it be okay if I can farm this land? And then they'll be like, yeah, sure. And then once the next king comes along, maybe they'll just take that land away, and that's totally fine, and they can do that. You don't have any, you can't do, you can ask if it's okay to do something, and for that little bit of time, then maybe you can do it. The way that land law works in the UK, and I've studied it, I have a graduate diploma in law from a UK university. I didn't use it, but is technically speaking, all the land is the Crown's, all the land is the Queen's, and you get it for a certain period of time. Like, even there's a leasehold period which can be 999 years. Like my last apartment in the UK, which I just sold, was like, yeah, it was like 1,000-year lease basically. But if that ends, right, if that leasehold ends, reverts to the Crown, goes back to the Queen. And even if you have a freehold, if you die and you haven't properly said exactly who that should be passed on to, and they can't find the right person or the heir or whatever, there's some issue, reverts to the Crown, goes back to the Queen. Right. So the default setting in most of these countries, especially France, is the same, even though they got rid of their monarchy. Napoleonic law is basically the default setting is you can't do anything unless you specifically ask and gain permission to do that thing. Nothing is yours, right? Nothing's really yours. You just have it for a little bit of time, and then it goes back to the actual sovereign, the person who has all the power, all the authority, everything, and simply delegates bits of those power to this government official or whatever. That's the basis of most European countries. One of the many reasons why the United States is the greatest country on earth is because the people who founded it came from a system like that and said, we want to set it up a different way. We want to set it up in a way where every individual American, by virtue simply of being an American citizen, is themselves sovereign and has all the rights. And what we do as American citizens is we delegate some of those rights to our elected officials so that they can manage the country on our behalf for our well-being, for the benefit of us. And at any time, if we feel that they are not doing that job and not serving us to the best of their ability, we have the right to dissolve that government and start a new one. And that is fucking brilliant. And not only is it a better way to have a government, a system of government run, because and to have the Constitution over the top of that, enumerates some of the unlimited number of rights that we have, and says specifically, and here's all the different ways that the government is incredibly limited and restricted in how it cannot infringe on just some of these many, many rights. To have and many countries afterwards based their constitutions on that constitution because it's so brilliant, so forward thinking, thinking about how government always tries to expand its power and everything like that. And what we're seeing now is what keeps happening over and over again. As good as that foundation is, as good as that constitution is written, as good as the intention of the framers of the constitution, the founding fathers, was, we're getting to a point now we've seen in Hungary and in the UK where governments use this is a nothing like this has ever happened, right? This is an unprecedented crisis, so we have to get rid of we have to just get rid of your rights. And what's really interesting is the way they've done it. They know there's always pushback against, or in this country, there's always pushback against trying to restrict the First Amendment. That often comes from the media, who, oftentimes are very complicit in a lot of other government stripping of our freedoms. But they'll usually stand up for that. There's thankfully a very, very big movement in this country when they try to push back against the Second Amendment, thankfully, because we have the First Amendment to be able to express ideas and debate things, be able to express ourselves, and we have the Second to defend against government. When that doesn't work, when government doesn't allow us to debate freely and say what we want to say, we have the Second to protect that. And what they're doing is they're pushing against a right that not that many people really defend and talk about a lot, right? By saying, oh, you have to be, only this number of people are allowed outside. Right? Look what was happening in France, in Hong Kong, right before this all started. People were demonstrating on the streets every weekend in France for like the last year. They were on the streets rioting. In Hong Kong, massive demonstrations. Now, streets are empty. And you go, oh yeah, not more than 10 people, not more than 10 people, not more than 10 people. Right? What they're pushing back against in this country is the right to free assembly. That's a constitutional right. It doesn't matter. It does not matter what is going on or how bad the media or how many people are dying. That's your right to freely assemble with as many people as you want, no matter how many people are sick. And so what got me is yesterday I was there. This guy circles around doing his thing, doing his announcement, but then he kept circling around. So I moved off from one thing. I was really trying to be like, not look like a dick or whatever and be like, oh, I'm just going to completely ignore this guy. So he rolled around and did his announcement. So I just moved off of that as if I was sort of like leaving. And then I just went to a different area for a bit. And then he like was circling around and saw me and came back to that bit. So I moved to the other bit, and that's happened a couple of times. And I was like, okay, yeah, he's obviously. So he finally rolled up to one of the things and rolled his window down, and he was like, do you not understand the meaning of closed? And I was like, yeah, I thought this was public property. So, and he's like, what are you special? You think you're special? You think you're different? I was like, well, actually, in this country, we're all like, all of us are special because we're all sovereign and we have rights. So, and he's like, this is a national emergency. I was like, okay, so the Constitution has been suspended then? And he's like, no. I'm like, so, and so that maybe will answer your question. When the police interact with you most of the time, they want you to answer their questions, and you're under no obligation to do so. So the best way to answer their questions is by asking them a question. That gets right to the right, that I know what the answer. Has the Constitution been suspended? No. So am I being arrested for something? No. So I'm free to go about my business? Yes. There is no law they can pass that makes it not allowed for me to be walking around and doing whatever I want to do on a piece of property, on a road or whatever that is public property. It's private property, different story, right? Then I could be trespassing. Public property, I have the right to be there, unless they've declared martial law, in which case technically there are provisions in that where you can tell people where to be. And this, to do an analogy, I see this all the time with guys. I'm out doing a boot camp, and we'll be in a high. It's weird to even think about a high traffic environment with lots of people walking around, because I just haven't seen that at all in the last few weeks. But I'll be in central London or somewhere, or 3rd Street, Santa Monica, right? And there's lots of people kind of going back, milling around back and forth. And I'm standing there with a guy giving him some feedback about his last approach or something. And we're standing, and then people are sort of coming by us and stuff. And he's not really even fully concentrating on what I'm giving him exactly what he needs to do to make his approach better. But he's more focused on oh, there's someone coming, and sort of trying to move out of the way. And then and I'm like, dude, you have just as much right to be standing there as anybody else on the street. You don't need to ask anybody's permission if it's okay to be standing there. You don't need to apologize for standing there and being in the way. If they need to get past you, they can walk around. But there's this default thing, and I see it with guys, especially in the UK. They go up to a girl, and the very first thing they say is sorry. Oh, sorry for being sorry for fucking existing. And I don't care. Obviously, I talked a lot about the American Constitution. You might not be American, but the philosophy behind one of the reasons why the Constitution is so great is because it's easier to create the beliefs and the mindsets and stuff like that of what a lot of people call personal sovereignty, a sovereign way of living. Okay, my buddy Jesse Elder just started a whole new community around, I forget exactly what it's called, but sovereign something, where he's going into a lot of these things, which is quite interesting. And there's a few people. There's one writer who does a lot of financial stuff, is called The Sovereign Man, I think. I don't know if you've heard of him. So, but the fact is you don't need to have those rights and be an American citizen to practice the mindset and the beliefs behind being personally sovereign, which means I require no one's approval, acceptance, or permission to do something that I know I want to do, that is getting me closer to the goals that I have, and is doing the things that I want to do in my life, as long as I'm not hurting anybody or infringing on anybody else's rights. And that's a belief that nobody can take away from you. And what sickens me is, especially in this country where we are all legally sovereign, to have government telling people, whatever, close your business, stay 6 feet away from each other, only 10 people in a store, you know, you can't go on the public property that your taxes paid for. You don't get to fucking tell me that. Nobody gets to tell me that. Who do you think? And it's the philosophy behind it is these nanny state philosophies of UK and France is all the same, where it's basically saying, as the government, we know what's best for you, and here's what, you know, here are the law. This is what you have to do. This is how you have to act. This is how you have to behave. It's for your safety. It's for your safety. You know what? I can take care of my own safety. Thank you. It's for your security. Actually, security, that is just a feeling. It's a feeling of security. Oh, I feel secure. Right? At any moment, at any time, all kinds of shit can happen. Or, you know, whatever you feel like safe and secure in, how much money you have in in your bank account, you know, you own your house or whatever it is, like all kinds of shit can happen. We don't know. So the notion that, oh, if I just give up all of my rights that my forefathers fought for hundreds of years ago, so that I can have this feeling of, so I can have a feeling of safety, which as a government simply cannot guarantee. How about I create my own feeling of safety, and you stop telling me what the fuck I can and can't do? How about that? I'll create my own feeling of safety by knowing that as a sovereign human being, I get to decide how I live my life and the reality that I want to create for myself. And I'll go do that, and you stop meddling in people's lives. How about that? And this is exactly the same thing when I teach the stuff and the ego in the first week of the Ultimate Abundance Accelerator. I talk about this idea that the ego comes in when we're young, and it gives us this promise. It says, because you're this little kid and you're just figuring stuff out, and around 3, 4, 5 years old, this same kind of thing starts to happen where, like, you just, you know, how kids just say stuff, right? You're just in the moment and you just say something, and then it's just whatever you feel like. You just do whatever you feel like doing, whatever will be fun. You just say whatever you want to say, and you're like trying out words and trying out phrases that you like heard somewhere. You're like, you don't even fucking know. And then these things happen where, like, you offend somebody, right? Like I did this as a kid, and I remember this feeling. I don't know, I was like 5 or 6, and I was with my mom, and I asked someone, like, oh, how old are you? Because that's what kids ask each other, right? And it was like super awkward. My mom was like, oh, you don't ask that to people. And I was like, oh shit, I don't fucking know. As far as I was concerned, like, you go up to a kid in the playground when you're 5 or 6, and you're like, oh, how old are you? And like, oh, I'm 4 and a half. How old are you? Oh, I'm 5 and a half. Oh, let's play on the swing. Like, it's just, that was normal to me. But suddenly it's like, oh no, you can't say that same thing to somebody else, because it's like they get offended, and like it's like, oh my god, like other people are thinking all this different shit, and like if I say the wrong thing, then they'll get offended and all this stuff, right? So it starts to be very confusing, and so we start running this mind program, which we call the ego, right? So that the mind program of the ego arrives, and it says, oh, you know, isn't it crazy how, like, you're getting in trouble, and like you say the wrong thing sometimes because other people are thinking all this stuff, and it's really confusing, right? And you're like, yeah, exactly. And you're like, well, you know, the ego comes on and says, oh, cool, I'm going to help you with that. And the way I'm going to do that for you is I'm going to create like a I'm going to be like a barrier, like a semi-permeable membrane, like a little thing that protects you. And what's going to happen is anytime you're about to say or do something, right, from who you really are out, right, anytime you're here, I'm going to sort of protect you in this like bubble. And then just before you say something or do something, I'm going to check and make sure that that thing is going to gain approval, acceptance, validation from other people. And if it's not, or it might get criticism or rejection, then I'm gonna protect you by not allowing you to express that thing. I'm gonna stop it. And you go, that sounds exactly like what I need. That way I won't get in trouble, you know, by saying the wrong thing next time. And it's like, exactly. And on top of that, because I'm this barrier, I'll do it the other way too. So as sensory data is coming in, I'll filter it out so that only the useful information you need will arrive in and into your conscious, and I'll just filter all the other stuff out that isn't important. So like, oh, that sounds great. So then you start filtering all the stuff in, and only the stuff that comes through is stuff to do with, what does this person think of me? What is that? What might that person think? Is that person talking about me? Do they like me? Is this person, does this person approve of me? Is this person trying to seek my approval? Does this person look like they might be about to criticize me if I say that thing, and all that stuff? And we know the activity of this filter, you know, is going on all the time, because the example I always use is, if you're in a crowded room with lots of people, like at a party. Remember parties, guys, with lots of people? Remember them? Those are great. Remember places where there was like a bunch of people in it? Oh, dude, those are the days, huh? Oh, man. Crazy, crazy. Well, guess we won't have them anymore. But don't worry, we're safe. So that's fine. So whenever you're in like a crowded party, right? Lots and lots of conversations. And you can't, there's no, I don't know if you could tell me a way where you could actually know what all of these different, like there's 30 people at a house party, right? All those different conversations are happening all at the same time. There's no way you could possibly like keep track of everything that everybody's saying, or like actually be able to interact with all this. It's just impossible, right? So it just sounds like until somebody says your name. And then somehow you're able to pinpoint and literally look over to the exact conversation where that person said your name, even if it's behind you, which is pretty crazy to think about, right? Why? Because it's that filter going, oh, this is important. You need to look over and see when that person said your name, right? When that person said Andrew, when that person said Connor, when that person said Pete, were they saying it with a smiley face? Or were they like, ugh, Andrew's a dick? Or was it a girl being like, oh, Connor's kind of cute? Or was it like, yeah, Pete's all right. Yeah, Pete's all right. Yeah, he's all right. Right? You need to see to pick up that important information. That's literally that filtering going on. I didn't know that, Connor. I'm not sure how to process that in terms of this particular framework, but I'm interested to hear what your take is on why you don't hear voices as well when you're anxious. Right, interesting. Well, Connor, you're in the yeah, when you do the program, I think from week the exercises in week 1 and then going into week 2, there's stuff that's specifically activating the sympathetic nervous system, which gets you into a state of playfulness and fun where your awareness increases and you're able to be more playful, because you're exactly right. When you activate your parasympathetic nervous system because of fear, flight, or flight, then we're only looking for we're only able to really, our awareness basically decreases down, and we become way less able to be playful and have fun and take in everything, because we're just focused on, do I need to kill this? Do I need to run? Or whatever, and just the stuff to do with that. So a lot of the blood flow will actually from different areas of the brain will leave, because we only need reptilian brain and then our muscles to fucking survive. Yeah, me too. So that is interesting. So, and this is exactly, by the way, this is what's going on. The media's trying to put people in a constant state of fear. They're trying to put you into parasympathetic, if that's the one, which is fight or flight. Because when you're in fight or flight, you literally can't think for yourself. You literally can't analyze. You can't come up with creative solutions. Like you literally can't think properly because you're just in the state of like, okay, fear. What do I do? Right? You're just looking for that fear. I need a leader to tell me what to do. You don't need a fucking leader to tell you what to do. You just need to allow yourself to be made to be putting yourself in a fearful state. And then from a state of centeredness and calm and just presence, you can go, well, what do I want to do? What's going to help me achieve my goals? So this ego gives us this, basically we create this devil pact with his ego where we go, okay, cool. Yeah, I'll install this thing and it'll filter all this stuff. Great. Sounds fantastic. And we install it into what becomes this mind program. And we keep feeding this mind program every single day. Right? My buddy Ian always uses that story about the like his whole company is called Feed the Wolf because he's like, inside yourself there's two wolves, and like the good one and the bad one, and like whichever one will grow more is the one that you feed every day, right? So we feed, like you can go down the path of being a sovereign, internally validated, inside to out individual if you feed that side of you, or you can go down the road of being an externally validated, outside in person who needs things out in the external world to be a certain way in order for them to be happy, who needs leaders to tell them what to do, who needs other people's approval, who needs other people's validation in order to live their lives. If you feed that ego, which is just emphasizing and reinforcing that way of thinking. And so we feed this, most of us, I certainly did, feed this ego every day. Because every day we are filtering only that ego-based stuff anyway. We're only seeing that. When I was in this mind state, I would walk around and look and see this sea of people at university, and all I was thinking was like, oh shit, like, do I know that person? So I often tell the story. I would walk down the main drag of university. Exactly, Colin. And within my first year, I had to stop going down this main road where everybody went down in between classes. And it was quicker to go down there to go to classes, but I went around where it was like double lane sort of traffic crossing, and I had to like go across a whole thing to get to class, which is like a longer route. I just had my headphones in. Why? Because I would meet people like at a party or something or in class, and then in that main bit, you just kind of walk past them, and I'd look and I'd be like, oh, is that someone? And I'm just really shit at if I don't really know someone, or I've only seen them like one or two times, I will very unlikely recognize their face. So I have basically a mild case of what's called prosopagnosia, which I believe Stephen Fry diagnosed himself with, which is full prosopagnosia is the complete inability to recognize faces whatsoever. I just have a slightly mild thing where I'm just not very good at it. So people would pass me by, and only after they'd passed by would I be like, oh shit, that was someone that I knew, or that's someone that I met recently at some point. At which point I'd already not said hello to them, and I was like, oh, I'm so embarrassed. I'm such an idiot. Or I'd see someone and be like, I think that's someone that I know. So I'd be like, oh, hey, or whatever. And then they'd be like, huh? And then they walk past and be like, oh no, it's not someone I know. Oh, I'm such an idiot. I just said hi to someone I don't even know. Oh, you're such a fucking idiot. Oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Oh my God, I look like such a fucking idiot. And that literally just kept happening so much, and it was so embarrassing that I just literally avoided the whole fucking thing. So this ego gives us this devil's back, right? And the entire reason that it's there, remember, is it says, look, I'm protecting you because I'm not allowing you to do or say anything that might potentially get you criticized, judged negatively, rejected, right? That I'm protecting you from that, right? As long as you keep protecting yourself with my barrier, right? As long as you keep suppressing yourself from expressing yourself in every single time I tell you to, you'll never be rejected. You'll never be judged negatively. Any of this awkward shit will never happen. Is that possible for that ego to promise? Can your ego actually provide that security to you? No, it can't. Because one day, even by suppressing everything constantly, right? Even by just playing it so safe that you never do or say anything that might even be slightly controversial or out there or sexual or whatever, and you're just like, oh, I'm just really normal, and yeah. Even if you do all of that, one day you can go up to someone at a party and be like, hi, I'm me. I'm a totally normal person. And they can just take one look at you and be like, you're a fucking cunt. Right? Believe me, that's happened to me plenty of times. See this ginger hair? Yeah. So that happened to me, even with the whole ego thing. Oh, ginger cunt. Right? Might look at you and be racist and whatever your race is like, oh yeah, you're an asshole, right? These days, apparently, being white is, you know, a lot of people, just because you're white, they'll not like you, right? No amount of ego, right, trying to stop you from, and repressing you is going to protect you from that happening. But we keep feeding this ego and allowing it to become bigger and bigger and bigger under this illusion, under this lie, that if we keep doing that, it's going to keep protecting us from maybe at some point in the future being rejected or judged or having something awkward or negative happen. You see the analogy here. We keep feeding government and keep giving it more and more money and more power and allowing it to take more and more of our rights away, suppressing us from being able to act how we want to act, under the illusion, under the lie that it's going to protect us. Can more government protect us, even if this is a completely airborne, flesh-eating, fucking like Ebola, like it's like fucking outbreak? Can more government interference actually protect you from that 100%? No. So instead, what I suggest in the program and the entire self-consistent sort of system and framework that I teach is about getting rid of that ego. We're never going to get rid of it completely. There's a certain part of it that we do need a little bit. Like, it's sometimes we should consider, we should have a little bit of a filter, a little bit of where we shouldn't just be blurting it out at every moment, like every single thing we're thinking, without even considering for a second how that might come off. Of course, then you'd be like an oath, right? But that's one extreme, and we're all all of us are so far over here, just repressing everything. So I'm saying we try to reduce that ego as much as possible and come from the place of, my default will be, instead of to repress, will be to just express how I'm feeling, what I think about something. Acknowledging the fact that in some cases, some people are not going to like it, right? One guy dropped off this call earlier. Maybe he didn't like what I was saying. Cool, that can happen. I mean, I've been speaking to people around, and you know, a lot of people don't agree with me, but it's like, okay. But the people that, when I am expressing myself, that do, like me and my girlfriend here have gotten massively really close over this, because we both agree basically exactly what I'm saying. Like the whole thing is being seized upon by government as a power grab, and it's not any different. Yeah, there's some people are getting sick from some strain of flu. Happens every fucking year. The hospitals in all these places that are worst hit, like there's a whole series of videos, I forget where I posted one. All these hospitals in New York, the hospital downtown here in LA, people have gone to them. There's no one fucking there. And the people who do resonate with you when you do express yourself, that's just such an instant, amazing, quick connection. And to me, that quick connection is worth the occasional time where someone rejects me or criticizes me. And in the same way, the default for individual people when it comes to government should be a default to, I will do whatever I want to do. And of course, there are certain limitations on that need to be there, but they're very small. They're a minority of things. In general, I'm going to do whatever it is that makes me happy. And having everybody have that level of individual freedom is worth the few times where something bad happens. It's not worth, there is no argument for, and it is not worth giving up all of that freedom as an individual just in case something bad happens that anyway government can't even protect me from. Like the TSA, right? Like that, is it what? Well, a terrorist attack might happen. Cool. Well, we just give up our rights to basically be sexually assaulted constantly, so we can get on an airplane. And that's just they'll always keep trying to do that. It's like, oh yeah, we need to keep you safe, so do this. Is that keeping you safe? No, it isn't. They do a thing every year, right? Some newspaper will do a thing every few months, every year, where they get guns and shit through airport security just to show it. That isn't protecting you. It's just creating a feeling of I feel safe in people that buy into that narrative. And by buying into that narrative and then feeling safe because of that, they allow them to, they allow you to, yeah, they take away all of your rights. It's like, I'd rather have my rights and then I'll protect myself. That's why, they're like, oh, school shootings, we need to take away your guns. Actually, in places where you literally don't know who's armed in that place, all of that kind of like robberies and all that stuff go way down, right? Whereas a guy who by the way has his gun probably illegally anyway, Where's he going to choose? Is he going to choose the gun-free zone in the state where no one's allowed to have a firearm and protect themselves? Is he going to choose there where it'll be super easy and he knows he can probably get away with it? Or is he going to go down to Texas and you know, rob a fucking liquor store where like half the people in the fucking store are going to be armed? Right? If you were a criminal, which one would you choose? So I'll protect myself by being able to have, you know, my own rights. And if that means something bad happens later on the line, cool. And the other part of it as well is what government's trying to do is they're like, oh, there's uncertainty, there's this lack of safety. We'll give up your rights and then we'll protect you. And what it's trying to do is insulate people from the consequences of their actions. Right? It's trying to remove that. We'll just remove all your personal responsibility, all your personal risk, and guarantee you complete safety. And all you have to do is like, see this thing where you had this right, just say that you know, you don't have that anymore. You don't even need, you don't need the right to free assembly anyway. And then if you, oh, you don't need the Second Amendment really. And oh, you don't need the First Amendment really. Right? But you'll be so safe. Fuck you. And the thing is when you adopt the mindset like this, when you're going out into the world, yeah, some people will criticize you, but a lot of people will be like, whoa, okay, this person is different. When you adopt this mindset and you act like this, that naturally around you, people will just gravitate towards you, and you're the leader. You're the one, when you're the one that's being sovereign and everybody else around you is being put into fear mode and being sheep and in this outside in mentality, then just by being there and being like, nah, people go, oh, how is he able to, who are you? Right? When you're around women who are attractive and you're just like, yeah, I don't buy into this shit. I don't give a fuck. They're like, ooh, hey, sexy. Just like that. And so I've been messaging women on one particular online dating app, and I've had, like, people are talking about all this stuff. I've had literally zero trouble exchanging a few quick messages, get them onto WhatsApp, have a chat, and then I just literally, I say, come around here and I'll cook us dinner. That's it, because we can't go anywhere. So I'm like, and if they're like, oh, virus, like, oh, you're an idiot, bye. And my literally within the last week, why didn't that send? Oh, I'm on airplane mode. Like, well, it's a lot of. Can I go to one page? Like pages. You can't really see. So I was like, what the fuck is going on with this? Oh, I just took it off airplane mode, so tons of shit is coming in. One main girl, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 chicks I'm just talking with or whatever. Some of them come around and we've fucked already. And I don't have time for a lot of them or whatever. Like, I have a main girlfriend that it's going awesome, and I don't really, yeah, I'm just kind of focused on other shit right now. But that was in the space of like a few days, just literally 2-3 messages, get on WhatsApp, hey, when you free, come around, I'll cook or something. That was it. So, right, it's not because I look like Brad Pitt, guys. It's just I'm just operating from a different place. Like I don't know what other guys are messaging, but it's like if you're messaging from this place of fear and buying into sheep mentality or whatever, then the chick's gonna take that on or be that already. You're gonna attract that, and she's gonna be like, yeah, you're right. It is so. Oh, I'm so scared as well. And then you're like, cool, let's meet up. She's like, oh well, I'm scared. So I don't give a fuck, bro. I don't give a fuck.